the clear, his hand can't go outside my outer rim because then I have two hands working and it's not on the wuji line, which is where it's supposed to be. So however I move, this hand has to be here to get both hands manipulated right here, then it'll work. No, this is different. That's Aikido La La Land. Okay? You're here, stay there, there it is. Boom. So bring it to the wuji line. Don't turn away from it. Don't let it go past you. Bring it right to, there it is, right here. Two hands can manipulate it. Okay? The second correction is that you don't drop the elbow with the hand. They don't go together. You want the elbow to stay. The wrist is already turning. Wrist turns ahead of the elbow dropping. This is together. Now, this is wrist leads. Wrist leads. Or wrist leads. Oh. Elbow drop. Wrist leads. Okay? Wrist makes the elbow go down, not you pushing the elbow down. Okay? Everything's in the wrist. Let's go back a little. Okay, so this probably should have been point one. But this Tesabaki, we have tons of videos on them. Stop doing Tesabaki like Federite Aikido. Okay. So, for this arm to pass me, for this arm to have gone here in correction one, you have to let that hand pass. You already violated the wuji line. Okay? So this arm is going, here is the wuji line. That is where this touches. Not over here and I pass. Okay? So I want you to pay attention to something. Virginia, you're doing this too. Okay? Maybe this angle, I don't know, but figure it out, okay? When the hand goes past wuji, then this one cuts. The distance between our elbows is pretty small. When I bring this back, the distance is big. Do you see? And now there's room for the hand. A lot of times people do that and they're like, I can't get that thing off. Okay? So it's sheer when the elbows are far apart. Okay? All right, we're going to make sure we fix that and then we'll continue with correction 3. Correction 3. You can't make this pause. There cannot be a pause. Okay? So you can try to go quickly, but it is very good to have the technique that I showed here on this technique. When we did the YouTube video on this one, I showed you that one. It is also very good to know the one that I did earlier here. So I take a more of a sumiyo tosh. It's a sumiyo tosh assisted by Kote Gaeshi. Okay? So you don't want to pause. You have to, you can go slow, but you're fluid. I don't stop, he doesn't stop. Okay? So he's still fluid. Boom. Now, so you can be fluid. I messed up. Whoa, take this. Like everything keeps moving. Okay? You messed up entirely, get out of there. Stop. If you're quick enough, you can get it. But this one is very good. Okay, very good. Because it doesn't lose contact. Right from here, it goes around to here. Okay? This one loses contact. Even if I try to keep my arms here, it came off a little. So I'm rolling it to there. Boom. Okay? No stopping between the Tesabaki and the Nagewaza. Okay, give me a second to set this up because my deshi don't know how to do this because it's wrong. We don't do it. But I have had many videos on this that you cannot rotate your hips, most commonly in Tenkan, in a way that the reactionary force is going to cut through your shikaku. You will lose balance. Okay? So some common ones is when the nage, let me do it on this side. The nage is turning him on that tenkan, okay? Or another one is where they go here and turning here, okay? It doesn't matter if you hop or you put your feet right or you bend your knees. All that is crap, okay? So, the first one I want you to try is where you try to turn me on the tenkan, okay?
Hi.
So let me just see if Taylor can do this.
All right.
You're gonna turn me on the tenkan. There you go, okay? So he goes, and he's not going to turn me because the reactionary force cuts through the middle of his 2 feet, which is just shikaku, and he's going to lose balance, okay? The next one I want you to do is don't turn me here, but then come forward, and then turn me on this tenkan, okay? Let me see if you can do it. Tenkan, nope, go ahead and tenkan.
Right.
Good. Then you go forward and tenkan to turn me. There you go. Okay. There you go. Boom. Okay. This is a no-no. This does not work. Okay. So, this comes from people think that Aikido is working through hip rotation, and they're like, look, you rotated your hip. Look, you ihimi and you tenkan, you rotated your hips a lot. It does not come from hip rotation. It comes from the kwa Andrews 15 degrees. Okay, that's all you get. That is it. It's here. It's not my hips moving through space. Doesn't do that. That hip rotation will always generate the reactionary force through the middle of his 2 feet. That's the shikaku, and you will lose your balance. Okay? So, in this technique, you're not going here. That would be wrong. But you're also not going here. That's wrong too. That only works on the person who's going to go with you. And this technique is for the uke who's not going with you, okay? The person that doesn't have spinal displacement that's going flying past you, okay? All right, so let's watch something. When I move from where my hands can both touch what I'm touching, so the wuji line, the kwa can make up that 15 degrees. But if you pay attention, that meant the wuji line moved. Do you see that? I won't ever go here, okay? technique, like every other Aikido technique, keeps on the wuji line for its power. So when, let's say he's pushing now, he's doing spinal displacement, okay? And I know I want to touch with this hand, then I have to move to put this whole mechanism on the wuji line, okay? Now, when I do the throw, I don't want to bring it off the wuji line, no matter how I do that, because here I am not strong, okay? So, resist. I am not strong there, okay? I am only strong or strongest on the wuji line. When we use the kwa, which some people think is hip rotation, the whole mechanism moves with the wuji line. Boom. Okay, does that make sense? My hands, this mechanism does not go left and right of the wuji line, nor is there some hip rotation that's doing this, okay? So if you pay attention, no matter what I'm doing on this technique, it is on that wuji line, okay? Every single time. Here, stay. When I move here, if I need to, it's because I need the wuji line to move here. But he's not doing that. And I haven't really rotated my hips. So resist that pull, you see? And I'm just grounding this foot and I move. Does that make sense? That is different from resist and I'm trying to bring him around like that. I cannot do that, okay? So this may look like a tenkan, but if you pay attention, my hips aren't really rotating around each other. Here's where the technique is. Boom, boom. No. La la la. Boom. Okay? Let's try it. Keep the technique here the entire time. Okay, good. All right, so the pin. Boom, boom, down, and we're here. Okay? So here, I have the arm bent. I don't have this thing like this, okay? Now, I know if he stays there, I can get this ikkyo right here, okay? And I know if he stays there, I can get that elbow. But the problem is that he doesn't have to stay there. He can shuffle forward. And I use that, okay? So, go back to my point that the Aikido pins are not pins, okay? They're not pins. And this one's not a pin. I'm here like this, okay? This is what I want. And then I'm going to attack what I call the scapular mechanism. There's going to be immense weight here, shoving down that way. I want that pin or that pressure to take slack out. So look at all the slack. I want it gone. Now when I move his arm this way, he'll feel it immediately. So tap when you don't like it. That's how much movement I could get out of it, okay? So that means that when I go, let's do the technique here. When I'm here, that technique. There's no time for him to go forward, okay? That's what I'm doing. So keep that in mind, that it's not a pin, it's a dislocation, okay? That's what you're trying to do. Secondarily, note how his tapping signal is pre-perceptible movement to anybody out there. And that is telling you that he's already at the cusp of dislocation. So when we're here like this, okay, he's not at the cusp. You see how long that took to get there, okay? So that's not correct. The next point about this is not its immediacy, but what is my actual range of motion towards the dislocation? It's related. So if he's already at the cusp, and I have the ability to not only move to the cusp, but way the F down there, that thing's dislocated. If my ability, I don't get to the cusp, it's not dislocated. If I can only get to the cusp, it's not dislocated. If I get a little past the cusp, it might be dislocated, okay? It needs to be way down there. So if we are here, and I won't get it in place, but you can see how far I can move from where I didn't move at all. So here is where the cusp was, and I moved my hands and my center a good 1.5 feet more. That thing's coming off, okay? If we look at this, okay, and I'm doing this one, I am at the cusp of my wrist movement, if you pay attention.
All right.
Do you see? And I am at the cusp of my energy output. He's strong enough on me to actually force his wrist back up. Okay? If he combines that with moving forward, it's easy peasy to get out, okay? So, adopt the pin that we had and not a Federite pin where they tap. Your pins have to, or better said, your dislocations have to feel like there is no way I can't rip this limb off. They cannot be just a guy tapped out eventually because it was an owie on him, okay? That's not it at all, okay? There's a lot of people that cannot take pain. They're in Aikido, right? So they're gonna tap out super early. You don't judge by that crowd tapping out. You judge by the mechanics. Do you have the joint compromised to such a degree in light of what your range of motion is and your potential power output that you can rip it off, yes or no? You don't need the tap to tell you that, okay? I don't pay attention to the tap. If you pay attention, a lot of times I already started the next rep before they tap because I knew all the mechanics were in place to do whatever I wanted to do with that, okay?